All right, so today, um, we're going to be diving into a pretty complex area
Yeah,
in the world of AI,
absolutely.
LLMs, large language models.
And
They're everywhere right now.
everywhere these days.
Yeah.
And you've asked specifically about
Mhm.
this big debate swirling around them, which is, should they be censored?
Right.
And it's not an easy answer.
Not at all.
And thankfully, you've provided a pretty fascinating source for us, which
Yes,
is an actual simulated debate
it is
with arguments for and against censorship,
a full-blown debate
complete with judges
with judges, with a verdict, the whole nine yards.
and a verdict.
Yeah.
So it's intriguing how this simulation really captures a
Yeah.
lot of the anxieties and hopes that we have around this technology.
Right.
You know, on the one hand, incredible potential on the other hand,
Yeah.
this fear of misuse.
Yeah.
And by kind of dissecting this debate,
Ab-
I think you'll be able to understand both sides and then form your own informed opinion.
Exactly, and that's the goal of this deep dive.
Absolutely.
So let's jump in, and
Yeah.
we'll start with the side that is arguing for censorship,
Right.
and their main concern is safety and control,
Safety and control, yes.
and they highlight the fact that LLMs can generate misinformation,
Yes.
harmful content,
Mm.
even deepfakes,
Deepfakes are a big one.
all at an alarming speed.
At an alarming speed, and their worries go beyond just the digital realm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they bring up very real-world scenarios,
Okay.
like fabricated news influencing elections,
Oh, wow.
or, biased algorithms creating unfair outcomes in things like loan applications.
Interesting.
And their solution to all of this is
Right.
strict regulations and guidelines.
Okay.
They even go so far as to propose human review as a safeguard.
Human reviewers for everything.
Yeah, but how that would work logistically,
Oh my gosh, that just sounds overwhelming.
that's a question we'll get to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I can see why people are nervous.
Yeah.
Especially with
Yeah.
all this talk about LLMs, potentially impacting jobs and
Right.
education.
Yeah.
And this side argues that regulation could help mitigate those risks.
Right.
Especially, if certain jobs become automated.
It's almost like, establishing the safety protocols before you construct a skyscraper
Right.
rather than trying to fix things
Yeah.
after a disaster.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
But then the judges were very impressed by how well this side
Okay.
articulated the potential dangers.
Okay.
But they also pointed out
Oh.
some inconsistencies in their argument,
Inconsistencies. Okay.
particularly around this human oversight.
Okay, what did they find problematic?
Well, while they were advocating for human review,
Yeah.
they didn't really realistically address the sheer volume of content
Oh, right.
that
Yeah.
LLMs can generate. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
How many reviewers would you need?
Yeah, how would you even do that?
What would the costs be? And these practical concerns are
Yeah.
crucial. And the judges weren't convinced
Yeah.
that this side had really fully thought through those things.
Okay, so a strong case for potential harms,
Yes.
but maybe not the most airtight plan for implementation.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, all right. Well, now let's hear from the opposition.
Okay.
The hands off our LLMs crowd.
Right. The other side of the coin.
Their stance is that censorship is ultimately a blunt tool
Yes.
and one that could cause more problems than it solves.
Yeah. A very sort of sweeping measure
Yeah.
that could backfire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were some of their main points?
Well, their central point revolves around this potential stifling
Okay.
of creativity and innovation.
Okay.
So they fear that by imposing strict censorship,
Mm-hmm.
we might miss out on the full potential of LLMs,
Okay.
limiting their ability to generate new ideas and solutions.
Yeah, like that makes sense.
And then there's the classic slippery slope argument.
Yeah.
Like, who gets to decide what's acceptable?
Right.
And this worry that censorship could be used
Yeah.
to silence dissenting voices or control narratives.
Yeah. Okay. So instead of censorship,
Mm-hmm.
they propose something completely different,
To do.
which is empowering users.
Empowering users.
Yeah, and they advocate for media literacy,
Yes.
critical thinking skills,
Absolutely.
and education on responsible online navigation.
Yes. It's about giving individuals the tools
Okay.
to assess information and navigate the online world safely
Okay.
without needing to control every piece of content.
Okay, so rather than controlling what is
Yeah.
produced, control what is
Exactly.
consumed in a sense.
Yes, and how to consume it responsibly.
Yeah. Okay, so this side also pushes for transparency and accountability.
Yes.
But from the developers themselves.
From the developers, right?
Sure.
So imagine things like
Yeah.
open source models,
Okay.
clear explanations of how algorithms work, and easier ways to report problems.
So it's about building a culture of responsible development.
Yes.
Rather than relying on sweeping bans
Exactly.
that could hinder progress.
Yes.
So did the judges buy into this
Well,
this freedom of speech for LLMs argument?
you know, they found the defense of open exploration and user empowerment compelling.
Okay.
But they did call out a lack of concrete examples.
Oh, okay.
You know, they wanted to see how these lofty principles would actually play out.
Oh, okay. So how do you actually do this?
Exactly. How do you empower millions of users?
Yeah.
What does developer accountability look like?
Yeah.
On a practical level, those were the questions.
Yeah. Okay. So both sides had their strengths and weaknesses,
Definitely.
but someone had to win this debate, right?
Right. Somebody had to come out on top.
Who ultimately emerged victorious.
Okay, well, the judges ultimately sided with the argument against censorship.
Okay.
They found that the pro-censorship side hadn't really convincingly shown that their solutions would actually be effective.
Okay.
However, it wasn't a complete dismissal
Right.
of, the concerns raised.
Yeah.
The judges really highlighted this need
Okay.
for a more nuanced approach,
Okay.
one that balances protection with freedom to explore and innovate.
So a victory for team no censorship.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
But it sounds like the judges weren't ready to just
Right.
throw caution to the wind.
It's not a free-for-all.
Right. This is where things get really interesting though, right?
Exactly.
Because it's easy to say no censorship or
Yes.
strict regulations, but
Right.
what are the practical
What
alternatives
are the things
that could actually work?
that could actually work?
Yeah.
Well, one idea that's gaining a lot of traction
Yeah.
is this concept of responsible AI by design.
Okay.
So instead of trying to fix problems
Yeah.
after they arise,
Right.
the goal is to incorporate ethical considerations.
Okay, I like the sound of that. But what does that actually look like in practice? Are we talking like some kind of AI Hippocratic oath?
Yeah, think of it as a fundamental shift
Yeah.
in the development mindset.
Yeah.
So for instance, instead of just scraping any and all data
Right.
that's available, the data sets that are used to train LLMs
Yeah.
need to be very carefully chosen and vetted.
So it's not just about
It's not just about,
getting as much data as possible.
exactly. It's not just about accuracy and efficiency.
Yeah.
We need to start prioritizing things like transparency
Right.
and the potential social impact
Okay.
of these models.
So it's kind of like constructing a bridge, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't just focus on making it look pretty and span the distance. You would think about
Right. All the different factors.
load-bearing capacity,
That makes
environmental impact, all sorts of different.
It's about taking a holistic view.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like these LLMs are powerful tools.
They are powerful tools.
And with that power comes a responsibility
Absolutely.
to build them with the right considerations in mind
From the start.
from the start.
Yeah.
Okay. And this responsible AI by design approach extends beyond just the technology itself, right? It's also about who has a voice
Yes.
in shaping its development and deployment.
We need a more diverse set of perspectives
Okay.
at the table.
So not just engineers and tech CEOs.
Not just engineers and tech CEOs, but also sociologists, ethicists,
Wow.
representatives from communities
Okay.
that could be directly impacted by these models.
So it's like if you're building a self-driving car,
Yes.
you wouldn't just involve mechanics
Right.
and software developers. You would also want input from
City planners, transportation experts,
Yeah.
people with disabilities
Yeah.
to make sure that this technology
is inclusive and beneficial for everybody.
is truly beneficial for everyone
Okay, so getting all the right people in the room
from the beginning.
at the start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now, in addition to these design principles,
Yes.
there's also a growing interest in something called algorithmic auditing.
Algorithmic auditing, yes.
Okay, so explain what that is.
So think of it as independent inspections,
Okay.
but for algorithms.
So like a digital building inspector,
Yeah.
making sure the AI isn't going to crumble or
Exactly.
cause any harm.
Making sure it's up to code.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Who would be doing these audits?
Well, these audits could be conducted
Yeah.
by independent organizations,
Okay.
researchers, or even government agencies.
Okay.
And their job would be to really examine the inner workings of LLMs,
Okay.
looking for things like potential biases,
Okay.
security vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
or any unintended consequences
Okay.
that might arise from their use.
So it's all about adding this extra layer
It's about accountability
and oversight
and oversight to
to
the
the whole process.
whole development process.
Yes.
Okay, it all sounds very promising.
But I can't help but wonder,
Yeah.
is this really feasible?
That's a valid question.
Because the tech world moves so quickly.
It moves at a breakneck pace.
And regulations so often lag behind.
They do. They often lag behind.
Are we playing catch-up here?
I think that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of experts believe
Okay.
that a combination of approaches is really necessary.
Okay.
We can't just rely on the tech industry to self-regulate,
Right.
but we also can't expect governments to impose blanket controls.
Right, because that would stifle.
That would stifle innovation, exactly.
So it needs to be some kind of,
It needs to be a collaborative effort,
yeah, like a multi-pronged approach.
a multi-pronged approach, yes.
Okay, so multi-pronged attack, as it were.
That's a good way to put it.
But what about the end users?
Yes.
The everyday people?
The people who are actually using this
Well,
technology.
you're interacting with
Yes.
these LLMs.
Yeah.
Where do they fit into all this?
But the user's role is absolutely crucial. Remember the anti-censorship side's argument about empowerment?
Yes.
That's where things like education
Okay.
and media literacy come in.
Okay.
We need to equip people
Yeah.
with the critical thinking skills
Okay.
to evaluate the information
Okay.
that's being generated by these LLMs.
Right. So back in the day,
Yes.
we learned how to evaluate sources,
Exactly.
differentiate news from opinion
Mm-hmm.
in traditional media.
Yes.
Now we need to apply those same critical thinking skills
You need to update those skills
to this world
to the world of AI.
AI-generated content.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's not about fearing AI.
You're right.
It's about approaching it
Yeah.
with informed awareness.
So we're talking about like a digital literacy boot camp
Yeah.
for everyone.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Sign me up.
But seriously,
But seriously, though, how do we make this happen
Yeah.
on a large scale?
well, it is a challenge.
It sounds like a massive undertaking.
It is a significant challenge, but I don't think it's insurmountable.
Okay.
You know, we can start by incorporating these concepts
Okay.
into existing educational curricula
Okay.
from elementary school
Wow. Starting them young.
all the way up to university.
Yeah. So imagine a world where kids are learning about algorithms
Yes.
alongside history and math.
Alongside history and math.
That's a future I can get behind.
I think it's a future we should all be excited about.
Okay, but what about the adults
Yes.
who are already out there
right.
navigating this increasingly
Navigating this complex landscape.
AI-driven landscape?
Yeah, well, there's a huge opportunity for things like public awareness campaigns,
Okay.
online resources, community workshops. Libraries could even become hubs
Interesting.
for digital literacy training.
Okay.
We could even envision AI-powered tools
Okay.
that help users fact-check AI-generated content.
Okay, so using AI to keep AI in check.
It's a bit meta,
I love it.
but I think it has potential.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is
Yeah.
the future of LLMs isn't about this like top-down control. It's more about
It's about a more bottom-up approach,
a bottom-up approach.
where every,
Right, buddy?
from developers to users,
Plays a role.
plays a role in shaping a responsible AI ecosystem.
That's a great way to put it.
It's a complex issue.
Yes, it is.
There are no easy answers.
No.
But I think by engaging in these discussions openly and collaboratively,
Yeah.
we can harness the power of LLMs
Okay.
while minimizing the risks
Yeah.
and ensuring they're used to benefit
Benefit all of us.
all of humanity.
Okay, that's a lot to digest.
It is a lot to take
I'm
away.
definitely feeling more optimistic about the future of LLMs after unpacking all of this.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away,
Yes.
I feel like there's one crucial aspect of this debate that
Right.
we haven't really touched on yet.
You're absolutely right. We've talked about the technical and social aspects
Yeah.
of regulating LLMs,
Mm-hmm.
but there's another dimension
Okay.
that we need to consider,
Which is?
the legal and ethical implications. And that's exactly what we'll be diving into
Oh, this is where it gets real.
in the final part of our deep dive.
All right. Welcome back
Yes.
for the final leg
The final part.
of our journey into the world of LLMs.
Yeah.
We've covered the arguments for and against censorship,
Yes.
explored some alternative approaches, And now it's time to face the music and tackle the legal and ethical
quandaries
that come with this technology.
that come with LLMs.
This is where things get really tricky.
Okay.
Because since LLMs learn from these massive data sets, often scraped from the internet,
Right.
there are some thorny questions around things like copyright infringement, data privacy, and even the potential for LLMs to generate harmful or offensive content.
Okay, so let's untangle this knot.
One strand at a time.
Let's do it.
First up, copyright.
Okay.
If an LLM is trained on material that's protected by copyright, things like books or code, does that mean anything it produces is also infringing?
That's a great question.
On someone's intellectual property?
That courts are wrestling with right now.
Oh, wow. So this is like live issue.
It's a very live issue because some argue that training an LLM is akin to fair use. Similar to a student studying a textbook to learn. But others contend it's more like making unauthorized copies. Which is a big no-no in copyright law.
It's like if I fed an LLM all of Shakespeare's works and then had it write a new play. Would Shakespeare's estate have grounds to sue?
That is the million-dollar question.
That's a good question. Yeah,
it's very complicated.
Complicated quickly.
And it goes beyond just creative works, too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Imagine an LLM trained on proprietary code or confidential business data. I mean, the potential for legal battles is immense.
Wow. Yeah, so we
desperately need
clear guidelines
on what data can be used.
Absolutely. Train these models.
Yeah, and how to safeguard intellectual property rights in this new landscape.
All right, next up, data privacy.
Okay, data privacy, big one.
LLMs are data-hungry machines.
They are. They need a lot of data.
But where is all the data coming from?
Yeah, where's it coming from?
And what happens to our personal information once it's been fed into the system?
This is a huge concern, especially as we see the rise of LLMs that interact directly with personal data. Like chatbots. Or virtual assistants.
Yeah, like I'm already using those things.
Exactly. And we need to make sure that any data that's used to train and operate these models is collected and handled responsibly with proper consent and anonymization procedures in place.
It's like if my conversations with a chatbot are being used to train an LLM, do I have any say?
Do you have any control
in how that data is used?
Exactly. Could it be sold to third parties? Could it be used to target you with ads?
These aren't just hypothetical questions.
Yeah, these are very real concerns.
We need concrete answers.
We need answers.
And then there's the question of what happens if an LLM generates harmful or offensive content. Things like hate speech, defamation, or even instructions for illegal activities.
Yeah, things that could cause real-world harm.
Who is held responsible?
Who's liable?
The developer.
The user. Or the LLM itself.
Or the LLM itself.
Wait, are you suggesting that an AI could be held legally liable?
It's a debate
that legal scholars are starting to have?
That sounds like we've stepped into a science fiction film.
It might sound far-fetched.
Yeah.
But it's a debate that's happening.
Wow.
Because right now, AI systems are treated as tools. But as they become more sophisticated and autonomous, the lines start to blur. And we may need entirely new legal frameworks. To address AI liability.
So we've got copyright issues. Data privacy concerns. And the potential for AI to become
legally liable.
Legally liable for its actions.
For its actions, yes.
That's a lot to untack.
It is a lot.
What are some potential solutions?
Okay, well, one crucial step
Yeah.
is establishing clear regulations and standards
Okay.
for LLM development and deployment.
Okay.
This could include guidelines
Okay.
for data usage,
Yeah.
transparency requirements for algorithms,
Mhm.
and mechanisms for addressing harmful content.
So something like a regulatory framework
Yeah.
designed specifically for AI,
Specifically for AI, yeah.
rather than trying to force fit it.
Exactly, because trying to apply old laws
Yeah.
to this new technology
Something it wasn't designed for.
is not going to be effective
Yeah.
alongside regulation.
Yeah.
We also need robust ethical guidelines
Okay.
for both developers
Yeah.
and users.
Okay, so this could include principles of
Fairness,
fairness,
accountability,
transparency.
and a fundamental respect for human rights.
It's like even if something isn't explicitly illegal, that doesn't automatically make it ethical.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
We need to develop a shared understanding of what responsible AI development and use
looks like
in practice.
In practice.
Yeah, and of course, education plays a massive role here.
Education is key.
We need to equip developers, policymakers, and the general public,
everyone,
with a deeper understanding of the ethical and legal implications
of this technology.
Right, the LLMs.
Yeah, it's like the early days of the internet.
Right.
There was a lot of Wild West behavior.
Yeah.
Because people didn't fully grasp.
Yeah, we didn't know
the potential consequences
what we were doing
of their actions online.
Right.
We need to learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, learn from the past.
And build a more ethical AI landscape.
From the beginning.
From start.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is an ongoing conversation.
It is.
And the easy answers are elusive.
They are.
But by engaging in these discussions, openly and collaboratively,
that's key.
We can harness the power of LLMs.
I believe we can.
While minimizing the risks. Ensuring their use to benefit all of humanity.
That's the goal.
So after this deep dive into the world of LLMs and censorship, what are the key takeaways?
Well, I think that first and foremost, the debate is far more nuanced than simply, ban it or let it be.
Right. It's not black and white.
It's not black and white.
Yeah.
There are valid concerns about potential harms.
Yeah.
But we also can't ignore the incredible opportunities for innovation and societal benefit.
So we've explored some alternatives to censorship.
We have.
Things like responsible AI by design, algorithmic auditing, and empowering users.
Through education?
And
critical thinking.
Yeah. And we also confronted the complex legal and ethical challenges,
which are very real,
that LLMs present. From copyright and data privacy to the very question of whether AI
can be held liable
for its actions.
It's mind-boggling.
It is. Yeah.
But it's a question we need to be asking.
Yeah, and the core message here is that we need a multifaceted approach.
A multi-pronged approach.
One that combines well-defined regulations, robust ethical guidelines, and widespread public education.
To ensure that these powerful tools, are developed and used responsibly. This is a rapidly evolving field.
It is.
And the conversation
is just beginning.
Is just getting started. We encourage you to continue
exploring these issues.
Join the debate. Help shape the future.
And help shape the future of AI. In a way that benefits us all.
That's what we all want.
And with that, we've reached the
end of our deep dive.
Okay. We hope you found it informative.
And thought-provoking.
Until next time.
Stay curious.